Okay, so, getting into this topic of the crisis going on in Ukraine, which, it's very close to war, like an all-out World War III, which is what's so scary about all of this.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, it's full-on war there without any doubt or lack of imagination. I mean, it is full-on, absolute, outright war. And I think that, yeah, we're on the brink of World War III. If you look at the way the Western world has sort of band together and publicly condemned Russia's actions and offered so much military aid. I mean, I know that you can't directly get involved in this conflict. I understand that. I understand that NATO allies can't. I understand that we can't. I understand that we can't go in with actual troops and planes and missiles and bombs, but we can send them.
Yeah.
And everyone basically is, at least in the entire Western world. And I can see how that could be, that's world.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, it was something, it had to have been really serious when Germany's like, we're going to give you weapons.
Well, you have
that's a big deal. That's a big deal for them. But hold on, before we jump into too much of that, I do want to just say and state out there, for the people of Ukraine, our hearts are with you. We're sorry this is happening, but we do stand with you here as neighbors. And so we want you all and anyone out there listening to know that we are here in just for you as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that the statement "we stand with Ukraine" it's something that is becoming a bit too much of a social media slogan. But the reality is that we do. We really wished that we could do more.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We can't understand what many of the Ukrainians are going through right now. We hope for a swift and end to this. Do you think that we're doing enough? Do you think our administration or and everything with the U.S. they're doing their part to the fullest, or do you feel?
No, not even close. I think that the sanctions so far have teeth. They have real teeth. They're a good start. But in terms of doing enough, no. I think that the U.S. in and of itself can go straight for the jugular if they really want to with sanctions alone. You see a lot of this stuff in the news that we still import Russian oil, for example. It's true. We do. There are cargoes on the water right now with Russian crude oil that are coming to the U.S. that we're paying for. And I say we, right? It's oil companies. It's not a we, government paid thing. But we haven't stepped up and said, absolutely not. You can't discharge that oil. Absolutely not. We're going to go ahead and open up, Eagleford and we're going to open up.
It's like blood diamonds from Africa.
100%. 100%. And we keep on saying we're attacking all the main Russian banks. Well, until you cut every single person in the entire chain off from SWIFT, no, there's more you can do. There's always more you can do. But we're not going to do it. And that's what drives me absolutely crazy. We're not going to go for the jugular because we consider it not only necessary for our own good, but one step too far with maybe someone who's a little bit unstable.
A little bit unstable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's lightly putting it.
You made the kind of facial expressions and vocal tones that say okay, the guy's a nut. Well, I don't know if Putin really is a nut. I'm not a qualified person to say whether he's nuts or not.
I'll do a snap judgment. He's a nut.
Well, hang on. I think that he's hell-bent, right? I think he's hell-bent on putting Russia back together, the Russian Empire. I think he's hell-bent on putting the Soviet Union, at the very least, back together. I think that he has a lot to prove, crazy or not.
Spoken like a true dictator.
Well, he is a true dictator. I mean, that's
what I'm saying. But every person,
he's a mass murdering thug. There's no question.
That's
what
I'm saying. But everyone, you look at Saddam, you look at Hitler, you look at all these. They all have the similar things in common, and and the patterns of behavior that you're seeing here. Yeah. So for me, I'll snap judgment, and I'm going to say he's a nut.
Well, but no value for human life doesn't necessarily make someone insane. It just makes them disgusting. But what I find so fascinating about the way we have access to information during this entire tragedy, right? As all the atrocities are unfolding right in front of us. If you look at Zelensky, if you look at the Ukrainian president, and you put him up against, let's say,
I'm gonna
amazing,
applaud
right?
that man. Applaud that man.
Every single person in the Western world should be looking up to this guy right now as an absolute measure of integrity, of bravery.
Oh man, that the selfie that he took in the city, at the in the capital city, like down to midday, just selfies telling his people, "I'm here."
I mean, this
you
guy,
know that's great. That's great. It's you know, that gives the people hope.
24/7 bombs going off overhead. This guy has been out in the trenches, just trying to lead his people to stand up, right? To stand up, and victory looks impossible, and they are just not willing to lay down. And I really, really believe that the president of Ukraine is a huge part of that kind of collective passion and power they've been able to show against the Russian forces. It's amazing. I love the quote. I love it. I know it's been quoted 10,000 times, but I love it when they were trying to evacuate him out of Kyiv. And he said, "Look, I don't need a ride. I need ammunition." I love that.
You know, we just wish for a very swift end to all of this.
Yeah, 100%. And I hope that more and more companies, independent companies from every country around the world, just stand up and do everything they can to help people out, which we're seeing. We're seeing Lyft, Uber, you know, we're seeing every airline offering their support for getting people out of Ukraine that want to leave. Well, that's a great step. It's a great first step to, you know, saving lives. I think it's tremendous. The next step is you don't do business with anybody involved with a Russian oligarch or the Russian government.
You let the snake in the garden, man.
Yeah, for the rest of our lives. And listen, my in-laws live in the Far East of Russia. I'm sure they're listening to this right now, and I'm sure that they are so angry because all they see in their media all day long is that neo-Nazis and fascists run the entire Western world. They run NATO, they run the US, they run Europe. It is all Russian state media puts out. It's very scary. And the second, you know, Brian, we haven't talked about this yet in the episode, but one of the things that really, really disturbs me about this entire conflict is the vast majority of the Russian military are 18, 19-year-old kids, right? Military service in Russia is compulsory. It's not voluntary. So can you imagine?
They're just having to follow orders.
Oh, can you imagine? Can you imagine what they've been thrown into? There's no way that these poor kids knew that they were going to be going into, you know, crowded civilian areas and cities and gunning down women and children.
I'm sure, just like everything, they were told, you know, this is for the good of the country, this is happening, and, you know, and everyone, like any war, everyone who is fighting believes their cause is the right cause.
Indeed, indeed. But I will argue, I have quite a few friends in the military here in the U.S., in the U.S. Armed Forces, whether they be active still or whether they be, you know, have served their country and done their time. All of them knew what they were getting into. All of them volunteered, and all of them, when they were deployed, were completely briefed on what the situation was, at least when they got there. This is not the case with these poor kids, these Russian soldiers. They are literally rolling.
It's like, here's
tanks,
your objective.
Vehicles. Yeah,
make it happen.
You know what happens next? Oh, go take out that building over there. Go make sure that falls down.
Well, yeah, and when you
don't worry about it.
You have a dictator that you don't ask questions. They tell you to do something, you just do it.
It's really, really scary stuff, and I'm telling you, I can't imagine what it's like being in that part of the world right now. I can't imagine what it's like being on the receiving end of the fighting in Ukraine. I can't imagine what it's like being a Russian citizen, you know, getting little snippets of information that you're wondering, could that be true? Could we really be doing this? And then, oh, no, there's no way. There's no way we would do that.
Yeah, it's rough for everybody. So you know, let's get a swift and safe outcome for this. But yeah, I'm with you. I think we need to wrap this one up.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk about this. I needed to vent a little bit.
It's important. I hope that if things are still continuing and moving on, that we continue to talk about this, because obviously it's something that we need to find a resolve for. But you know, normally we like to go out with a little bit of fun on our music, but for today we are just going to say we stand with you, Ukraine. And we'll see you soon.
Indeed. Signing off.